And you were drafted, correct?
Correct. I had actually number 95 in the draft lottery, Todd. And if you look at the history of it, 95 was the last number called in the last draft ever held. So they call me lucky. This
So
picture,
you were one of the last draftees
it
of
was
the
the
last
last
draft.
number. I can't say it was the last one, but I was in the last in the last category for sure.
And you just squeaked in, huh? And what was your Army career like?
It was a different time because Vietnam was over. Nobody was going over. The Army was adjusting to the all-volunteer mandate. So this was the little transition period, the last of the draftees and the first of the volunteers. It was a little bit like, I don't know, F Troop in the old TV show. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an experience. I got through it. I fought the Battle of Fort Dix. Historians are still out on who won. Yeah.
What was your job? What'd you do?
I was a 76 Victor. In the Great Cold War against communism, I drove a forklift. I know. Well, they didn't need infantrymen anymore. They didn't need anything. They were just scaling back from Vietnam.
Yeah. Yes. Now
I had three choices. I had three choices. I could be an MP, a cook, or a forklift driver, and the other two sounded too formal for me. So.
Well, yeah. If MP, you'd be breaking up bar fights, I guess. And
right. And the cooks are the most important people in the Army. You get to know the cooks and you make friends of them because one day they're going to give you a candy bar or a loaf of bread or something. So
right.
The most important people in the Army were the cooks, at least back then.
Right. You are a Vietnam veteran in the sense of a Vietnam era veteran. And
correct.
We just had Vietnam Veterans Day on March 29th, and we had a little video about like why, that date and how different and distinct Vietnam veterans are. And I think really what distinguishes Vietnam veterans from other generations of veterans is how poorly they were treated when they returned home. What an ungrateful nation kind of didn't welcome them back. Do you remember any of that? Like, not wanting to wear your uniform out in public or, anything like that?
It's very much a part of the book. Yes.
Okay.
And, I'd spend a whole chapter on that because some guy said that was the worst battle of all, the unkindest cut. You can be wounded over there and you kind of slug it off, but you come home and somebody's throwing coffee at you at the airport and you're saying, what happened? What changed? I do remember, this has actually happened to my brother. 2 Purple Hearts, 10 days, Distinguished Flying Cross. He was not a pilot, so that's a long story. He was highly decorated and wounded, and he came back home and rode in a Memorial Day parade in a little town in Fayette County and got spit on. And it was like, what in the world? What did you want me to do? What did I do wrong? It's stunning how much the country changed from the time 68 for the rest of the years to complete the war.
So I wanted to ask you, what does Liberty Call mean to you? And James, I don't know, you're a Marine, but you might know some Navy jargon. But this is Patti Gerhauser, first of all, to introduce her. For those of you who don't know, she works with Veterans Leadership Program, and she's a good friend of mine and also a Navy veteran. So for me, Liberty Call meant it's time, to get out into the port and go have some fun. It was basically, opening the cage for a bunch of animals to run out. Is that what it means? Does it mean the same thing to you?
For me, it was like I could breathe. Finally. But yeah, definitely paints an accurate picture, to use an analogy about caged animals.
Yeah, because we're stuck on that ship for so long. James, what's the longest you ever spent, or the both of you, what's the longest you ever spent underway?
I think we spent I know I spent about a month on ship. But deployed, I've done 7 months, 7 month stints, and then in trainings, I think the longest I've ever done was about a month and a half.
So a month on a ship. Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah,
that's a long time without a port call. What about you, Pat?
I'm trying to think. Do either of you remember how many days you had to surpass before you got a beer call?
A beer call?
Yeah, if you like passed a certain number of days without pulling into a port, everyone got 1 beer, and it was a beer call. I know
Navy.
we passed that, whatever it was, but I can't remember how many days it was.
I could have swore that was either after 2 weeks or after a month. I
want to say it must have been a month. It was definitely much longer than 2 weeks. Yeah. I was thinking it was 20 something, or it probably was a month. Yeah. But we did that a couple of times when I was deployed. So quite a while.
Wait, your shirt says I'm not dead yet? Really, Jim?
Well, Todd said I could wear it.
I gave him permission. He has permission to wear it. First thing I want you to do is tell people about Bami Bomb.
Ba Mui Ba, it's actually beer 33. Ba Mui Ba is 3 and Mui is 10. So you basically get 3, 10, 3 Ba Mui Ba. And when the North took over, they added another 3 to it.
Yes.
You can actually buy Ba Mui Ba at D's Six-Pack and Dogs in Regent Square. They have. I was there a few years ago, and they had a couple 6-packs in their storage area. So,
yes. But it was legendary during the war for being absolutely terrible beer.
Oh, it was. It was. You drank it when you ran out of everything else.
Yeah, 33 beer, and it was, and you know, there would be different. Like from what I've heard, each case tasted differently. Each beer had different alcohol content. I mean, there was nothing standardized about it. And I actually had someone, we were in Vietnam just this past trip, and had it when we went in 2018 also, and I could verify it's really bad.
Well, the rumor was it had formaldehyde in it. So
that's right. Now, beer is the national drink of Vietnam. Vietnamese, it turns out, are heavy drinkers, something that I didn't know until we went there. And beer is the national drink, and every town has their own beer. Ba Mui Ba is still sold, and the beer is usually pretty good. But man, that was terrible. So you drank it when you were in Vietnam in 1970, 71?
I wasn't much of a beer drinker. I really wasn't.
Good.
No, as my job, I was the assistant team leader of a 5-man team. We were co-located with a 4-man district advising team. And so my job was to keep them fed and happy. So I could buy any soda and beer for a nickel a can except Budweiser, and that was a dime a can.
Wow.
And so they would the payday officer would come in and pay them, and I was sitting right next to them, ready to collect on their beer fees and what I had to buy for food. We split that up among the troops.
Can you tell people about your hat?
My hat? Well, basically it says Team 67. This was 1971, the backside of the war. Vietnamization was under swing. They were pulling American assets out, and they were we were put in basically in teams. Each province had a team. Some of the ARVN units, the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, had units. I was on Team 67, which was in Phu Quoc Province, which was about maybe 35 miles north of Saigon. We were about 20 miles from the Cambodian border. So Team 67 was the province, and MAT 111 was a mobile advisory team located at the village of Dong Xoai.
Yes.